Hello, and welcome back to Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. Now, before we head in, there's a couple of things that we're going to need to do prior to the boss fight. So I've been looking up guides, seeing what the best thing to do is. So I think that, as far as our equipment goes, talismans and that were probably fine. It does seem to be more lightning than fire damage, so I think we're probably good with all this. But there's a few things we're going to want to change. So, we're going to come out. And we're going to go to Table of Lost Grace. Now, the issue is that we've got... So, firstly, we don't want a skill on our shield. So previously we put a skill on our shield, if you remember. We put an Ash of War on, and we allowed the Ash of War to give our shield bonus holy damage negation. We don't want that anymore. So we no longer want that. And we actually don't really care for anything on it. But what we do want to do is we're going to start using a different weapon. I'm really hoping this doesn't put me overweight. Right. So, we got handed a weapon especially for this fight as we entered the area. If you don't remember what it was, I don't blame you, it's been a while now. Where are we? It is a katana type weapon. I must have gone past it. Not quite there. Here we are. The Dragon Hunter's Great Katana. We received this upon entering the area. Now, interestingly, and it's not shown here really on the stat screen and things for it, which is why you kind of miss it. Because you would think, oh, it's handed you a special weapon, you must have to use that for the boss. Well, it's got a passive effect of causes blood loss build-up. So naturally, and by the way, am I on heavy now? I am on heavy load. Oh dear. We're going to have to fix that. How much does this weigh? 10.5. Ugh. Let's drop to veterans. That'll do for the fight then. God, look at the size of the goddamn scabbard. So. Not bad. Okay, nothing special to it. We've got our shield. Why is this so good? So the interesting part isn't any of the basic stuff about the sword. The interesting part is this. There we are. Now, I mistakenly thought that this was just, oh, it's got blood loss bleed, it's got blood loss build up. That's called the Dragon Wound Slash ability. I'm guessing it probably hits him and causes a load of bleed, causing a bunch of damage. That's what must be happening, so dragons must be telling us to use a bleed weapon. Which is why I thought that, oh, we just used one of those against Radahn and it's really good, we can use it while we're holding his shield up. Not a bad plan, but apparently, yeah, that's not really the recommended way to do it. Apparently this Dragon Wound Slash isn't just a bleed proc thing. It does bonus damage versus dragon type enemies. And it's, you know, bonus in big capital letters, underscore and everything. You want to use... Yeah, you really want to use Dragon Wound Slash against dragons. Would you have guessed? So, what we want to do is we want to go over here, and it will be using somber smithing stones, and we're going to need some runes for this. So, let's get some runes ready. We'll probably not need a crazy amount, but let's start with 17.5 thou. I don't think we can change ashes of war in it or anything, so... Right, somber smithing stone. Right, to get it to plus 10 we need 3.5 thou. We've already got 1.8. Right. It's now on plus 10. And it will now do a ton of damage. And more importantly, it does bonus damage to dragons. And that's what we're after. And that's also why you target the head, apparently. Because it's, as I've been saying, it's, well, why would we want to target the head? Because we're going to be looking up and we can't reach it. Look, how are we supposed to reach the head? Except, you know, go up and slash. Yep, that's what we're meant to be doing all along. Right. There's one other thing as well. So before heading in, well, as we head in, literally as we head in, what we want to do, right? As we head in, we can get, we can summon Egon, or Igon, or whatever it's called. The dragon hunter we met on the way up. We can actually summon him. Right, so we've got... Oh, it's doing that again. Right, yeah, we've got everything on. There he is. Well, there's Bale as well, but yeah. Yeah, he apparently likes doing that as well. Just camping the door on the way in. Heal.
You will rue this day. Behold, a true great warrior, and I, Egon, your fear made flesh.
Where is my pile of runes? Because it gets rid of the sodding compass when you enter. I completely lost where the fuck they are. There. I see him. I see him. Gotta love his dialogue. Also, I've not done anything. He's already lost a quarter health. So you just want to keep blocking until he opens himself up on his head. Yeah, obviously I'm still getting used to the timing on this. Loud. Ow. There's an item Well, it looks like there one. Well, right. Stop it. Stop it, Bale. Stop it. Look, he's roasting anime. He's nearly gone, and for some stupid reason I've got not my shield out. Why is my shield not out? There we go. Drink. That's cost me a load of health, that, but it's fine. Go past him. Just need a few last hits. Moment. There's that moment.
Bale the Dread, you shall haunt me no longer.
And there we go. It's actually not that bad of a fight when you're using the stuff that it's kind of giving you at the beginning of it. I think I vaguely remember what it says happens to Egon now. Right, we need to go... here. And I think we go to where we last... to where he was, where we found him. And we should find him, if I remember correctly, we find him dead. And he collapses from his wounds on the way down. But brilliant coming in with the clutch there. Very glad we summoned it, Egon back then. Great bow, helm, armour, gauntlets, loincloth, bell bearing. And lastly but not least, here we are. she's gone. She's probably found out what we've done to her power stone gavel. Probably found out what we've done to her mate, the Sidersax, or whatever we'll call him. I think that's the correct name that I've used there. So this is a arcane strength dex scaling piercing hammer. Where you get a piercing hammer, they're usually strike based. Turns human form into ancient dragon and boosts dragon cult incantations. Reusable. Offer to Twin Maiden Husks for new item access. Yep, so anything that we could buy off him, we can buy there now. Igon's Drake Hunt. So I'm guessing this is a bow that does bonus damage to dragons then, probably. Right. Looks good. Looking good. Right. So what does, out of curiosity, what does a Priestess Heart do? Because that says it's a reusable item. You know, as in probably somewhere here, reusable item. Well, if it's a reusable item, we can't use it at the moment. That might be something to look up in the wiki then. Right. So we can use this for Ghost Flame Breath. Did we not get this already once? Communion with Baal. Channels Dread Dragon to roar with a Heatwave Blast. Channels Dread Dragon to strike with Flame Lightning infused Talonbone. So that's like his melee attack. It requires a ton of arcane, as does this. Turning off flame line. Whatever, I guess it doesn't really matter. Yep, and we've got that. And now we're good. Now we've got all the dragon stuff from the DLC. Right. That does it then. We've finished. We have beaten Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. And I'm going to say I'll see if we can find somewhere fitting to like stand overlooking some everything, but this will just have to do. Right. But yeah. DLC beat. There we go. Feels a bit odd now, you know, just this is the absolute end of Elden Ring. Unless there's more DLC to come, but I think I'm probably done with Elden Ring now. I'm actually hoping that they don't do more DLC. I think it's, given how long the game is, and then this is basically like, honestly I bet this is 2/3 the length of the game on top of the game as a DLC. It's ludicrous. It's probably appropriately priced considering if they're selling the game for like 60 quid and this was about 40ish I think, wasn't it, if I remember correctly, then they are charging you about 2/3 the price of the original game for something that's about 2/3 the length of the original game. It's you can't argue with the logic. Speaking of which, what are we on now? Between all the grinding and other stuff, yeah. I've probably added about an extra 60 hours to my play time. 62 maybe-ish hours. And I know that because I think I mentioned an episode or two ago, I've rewatched my closing thoughts on the original game, just to refresh my memory and just organise what I want to say at the end of this, because I like to kind of leave long running series with my thoughts on the game. And I think most of my original criticisms still stand. The fights and things like that. Like, yeah, it's like they give you lots of different tools and toys to use, and most of them just get thrown on the pile and you don't touch them, yeah? I've barely engaged with the Ashes of War system, because most of the weapons I've used throughout the game have been boss weapons, right? So when I watched a guide telling you how to beat Radahn, and they're saying, oh, put this Ash of War and change the affinity of your weapon, and I was baffled, and I was looking like, what? Ash of Wars and affinities, and like, no, I've been using boss weapons the entire time, which don't allow you to do that, so I've barely even engaged with an entire system of the game there, because it kind of locks you in with weapon customization if you're using boss weapons, which, you know, fair enough, but again. And other gripes that I still have, I still think there should be a quest log system. That has not been answered, that problem, in this DLC. In fact, I literally did the quests with a wiki page up on the side and still managed to balls it up. At least we did get to all of the quests this time. We just didn't... yeah, we did do all the quests. I think we just didn't do them in the right order or something, and so it caused some people to be hostile to me when I wasn't wanting them to. I wanted to be, you know, fighting the final fight with Freya and Vac and Fossier and even, if possible, Hornsent. I don't know if you can get him on side, but yeah, not great. Still barely have a bloody clue what's going on with the story. You know, it's going to be one of those where I'm going to have to literally watch a lore video on the entire thing to understand what the hell even happened. Like, they've never been good with story. Like, all the Souls-like games and things, they've all been very much, and Elden Ring had the same problem. They don't have story, they have lore, and you have to look up what the hell's going on afterwards. And there's a running theme here with that and the quests and them refusing to just tell you things. It does give it this air of mystique, and I mentioned this in my original criticisms. Sure, you can do that, but it does mean that a lot of people just aren't going to be able to engage with the story. You're going to have issues there. I wouldn't mind just, you know, a few, you know, if these cutscenes explained a bit more as to what the fuck was going on. And more importantly, if we got a quest log that could keep track of what the hell I'm supposed to do. I mentioned in my original criticism of the game that, because Horizon Forbidden West had just come out at the time, so I kind of compare and contrast the two, since it's like seeing two sides of the coin. They're both open world games, but one is very minimalist and, you know, again, has this air of mystery around it and tries not to tell you too much and hides loads of stuff, whereas the other one is literally just littering the map with icons telling you where to go and stuff you can do, and constantly hand-holding you. I think we need the answer isn't one or the other, and I wouldn't listen to anyone who's just like, no, Elden Ring's the best game ever and whatever they do is how we should do it. No, the right answer here is somewhere in between. We don't want hand-holding that says, you have to go here and do this now and must do the thing. And here's a map icon for every little flower you can pick along the way. We don't need that, but simultaneously, this needs like a to-do list. I need a to-do list or something, you know, a quest log, and just a little bit of a, oh, I talked to so-and-so. and they want me to do this. I should go and do that. Something along those lines. Just anything, you know. Because it definitely needs it. You should not have to look up wikis to figure out the quests. And the thing is, when there's like these conditional quests that require you to be doing them in certain orders, and doing one quest can fail another and things like that, when you're dealing with systems like that, it's kind of important to know what's going on with the quests and who's asking you to do what, and if there's conflicts between them. Because otherwise you're going to make mistakes, you know. It's like, yeah, that's a problem. It's, again, it's why I would say that story and quest-wise, yet again, a From Software game is really piss poor on that regard. It just is. You know, they don't even tell you what rewards you're going to get from them or why you're doing it. You know, there's no dialogue from your character. You just seem to be moving around and doing stuff for people, whoever the hell asks. And yeah, it's always been poor in that regard. And just again, a lot of my problems from the original carryover. The probably one thing that's been solved is the co-op. I was saying at the time, like, I wish there were better co-op. I wish you could just join friends and stuff. You can get mods for that now, but it shouldn't be a mod. It really shouldn't be a mod. It should just be in the base game, really. On that note, though, yeah. The other thing I will say, one thing that I would love to see if they were going to do another DLC, I wouldn't even make it like a story thing or with new areas. What was it? Lords of the Fallen, a few months back, had a big update where it added new game modifiers. And it doesn't even have to be New Game Plus. You can do it on a new game that you start up. And my god, like, why the hell Elden Ring hasn't done this, I do not know. It would be amazing. It allows you to set a bunch of modifiers for a new game to give yourself challenge runs, like reducing the number of like the equivalent of sites of grace, down to none if you want it to be like a permadeath run. It allows you to randomize equipment and bosses and enemies, to add more enemies, to reduce enemies, and really tweak things. You can straight up make a permadeath roguelike mode where you keep your levels between runs, so you've got that like meta progression like you would have in a roguelike, but you lose gear and you go back to the beginning and it resets the bosses. So an interesting idea that they've done there with Lords of the Fallen, but it's in the game and it works and it's stable because the devs have done it. You're not relying on some weird unstable mod that messes with things too much and ends up spawning like random bosses in arenas that are way too small or too big for them. There's nothing like that, so having like official modes for these things rather than it being mods. If they were going to do a DLC now, I would do that and it'd just be like gameplay focused and things. That's what I'd like to see if they were going to add anything more. I think as far as like story and areas and stuff, I think we've seen enough. I'm ready to see a new game because I think now I'm ready to see what they can do going on from this. And maybe in like, you know, a new game with new mechanics, and maybe they can fix some of the gripes I've got with this and learn from it, make a better experience. Not to say that this wasn't great, because I'll get on to the great stuff now, and then I'll move on to the obvious pressing issues around boss balancing and enemy balancing and stuff, because there's been some hurt feelings about that, and I count myself amongst them. The game is, yeah, again, it's gorgeous. It's just as with the original. You've got some brilliant new areas, some biomes, different places to go on that. It keeps things fresh as you move through. We've had like crazy foggy woods full of like mad people and things, and we've had swamps. We've had running through several castles. The opening area has been brilliant. That's something as well I forgot. It's too late now with I'm finishing up here. But yeah, there's still 2 furnace columns I think knocking about somewhere. I might have to get them in my own time. But everything said, it's like, yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, you know, you arrive and in fact we will go, I mean, honestly as well, this area with all the blue and red flowers then on the top, absolutely astonishing. Insanely so. But when you first arrive, right, when you first arrive here, much like in the original game where you come out and you see the giant tree and it's just absolutely jaw-droppingly gorgeous. And it's doing a shite job at showing it right now. They really need to make fog less often, like appear less often or something, because yeah, it's a bit, it kind of ruins the view. It's still not great, but it's better. When you first arrive and you can just see all this, and it's absolutely fantastic. You've got those over there, you've got the ancient ruins in the background that you can see. And you go to all these locations. In fact, if we went over to that tower's a brilliant place to look out from. But there's the Dragon Peaks over there, the big tree up there, the huge shadow keep reaching up to the heavens, and the ruins over here. What's this one called? In whatever it was. God, I forget. Enia Ilim. But yeah, like literally from here you can see all of this, and up to the shadow keep, the tree in the background, and you can see everything down here and the peaks of the mountains along there. You can see so much, and again, it's just brilliant that they really, and I've said in the last one, it's the graphics are not great. Like you look at the graphics, they're kind of meh. You've got some cool stuff going with the fur on your armor and stuff, I'll admit. And it's certainly the best looking From Software game yet. But though granted it is 2 years old now, but at the time it released, they'd just started putting ray tracing in games, and this wasn't going to have it. I think it's actually been added since. But I remember as well, because of the horrible yeah, display graphics. Hey, it is actually on. But yeah, I actually had to turn it down into medium settings. And even then we've had some like little bits of lag and things like that, because we've been having some issues during fights and things. But there are some absolutely, and we will quit to the menu, and we'll see if we can run it on high for a moment. But I remember when we first started, we couldn't run it above medium without it like having enemies pop in and out and things, because it just hindered the performance so badly. It was so badly optimized. It might be a bit better now, and they have finally added ray tracing in, right? But still, I feel like there's like an S tier design team behind this, with like the programmers that are like B tier or something. Right, yeah, that does look a bit more striking. So that's it on the higher settings. But yeah. Oh, and it's clearing up. The fog might go away in a moment then. And keep in mind there were a big furnace golem at the back of all this, right? So you'd come in and you'd see all this, and it was absolutely fantastic. All that said, again, what it does well, it does very well. The combat, whilst I've got my gripes, is still very good. Best in the series, in the franchise even, and so on. And the boss designs are amazing, and yet again they outdo themselves. We've got some absolutely wonderful stuff. Like the quality has not dropped. But what I would say though with this is that whilst it's all great, same issues from last time still stand with quests and gripes with combat. And I've even mentioned on this, like, they keep giving me new talismans and they look really cool, and I could honestly put a really good build together, but I'd probably want like 6 or 7 talisman slots. Like, there's a whole bunch of them that I'm like, oh, I'd love to use that talisman, but I can't because I've only got so many slots. And it keeps giving me new spells and incantations, and I don't have the room to equip them all. It's really annoying. It really is annoying. I do kind of hate that. Right, but all that said, what it does well. But I would at this point prefer to see a sequel rather than more DLC, unless again, like I say, it was some kind of gameplay focused thing that's not going to take a bajillion hours, like some new game plus some new game modifiers that allow for like challenge runs to be built into the game rather than you having to mod them in and mod it to get co-op working right and things like that. The good thing is with all these releases in the Souls-like genre now, we're going to see lots of new ideas springing up. As competition is really good for that. To help refine these games further, having lots of competition is healthy because they'll all try different things. Like, one of the brilliant things that they did in Lords of the Fallen was the death mechanic. You die and you go into this second realm that's within the main game, so you go from like the land of the living to the land of the dead, and it completely changes the look of the area. Some places more than others, you know, sometimes there's just a bit of dirt kicking about and it adds a little filter to the screen. Other places it's literally like and it's usually the more like in areas that are more like landmarks, but you'll go into the land of the dead and there'll literally be just you know, there'll be giant skeletons everywhere and arms coming out the walls and things and crazy looking stuff. But it also adds as an extra safety net for if you die, because obviously in Souls-like games, death mechanics are a big deal. So you don't just die and lose all your stuff. You go to the land of the dead, which you sometimes need to do for puzzles as well, because there can be different things that are in the land of the dead that's not there in the living. But you can do the land of the dead puzzles, or you can go there if you've died, and then you can come back out of it. If you reach like a little checkpoint, it allows you to come back out, and it's almost like giving you an extra life. So it's almost like each time you go, you have 2 lives, not 1, and it's a really cool way of doing it. Perhaps they could do something similar with Elden Ring. You know, just one idea of mechanics that are in other Souls-like games that could be brought over. You know, I think we're starting to see more growth in the genre now. My last thoughts, the boss balancing and enemy balancing and that. I would agree with people. I think that the enemies, and especially bosses, certain bosses in particular, are way worse for this. I would say, which ones gave me particular trouble? I would say that Mesmer was, though we kind of stomped him, I could see why he would give people trouble. if we'd fought him earlier, and you really could fight him early on if you wanted to. But Radahn was especially bad. The what's it? Holy, not Holy Beast. It was it Holy Beast? The lion, the dancing lion. And there were two of them. The first one we kind of just absolutely just ploughed into the dirt, rolled him over, dead. The second one gave us more hassle, and I think it's because we didn't have an NPC helping us as well there. But they could definitely give people trouble, I think, because a lot of the boss, and Radahn was really bad for this. Literally, they are just on you like a rash. There were a lot of enemies like this in the game, not just bosses but basic enemies. They are just on you like a goddamn rash. You don't get a chance to move or breathe. And we've gone and fought a few of the old bosses that I'd missed from the base game to get some items for this. And Jesus Christ, the difference. It's like, oh, it's like they're moving in slow motion by comparison. It's like comparing Doom 2016 to Doom Eternal a few years later, and one is kind of like, I'll be honest, the Doom reboot I found extremely easy and a bit dull, because like it's playing all this crazy music and I'm only killing like 2 or 3 guys and the encounter ends, and it's like, oh, I never felt like I was being pushed, and it was more just like you'd go into a little fight, you'd kill a bunch of demons, and it was no real issue. But in Doom Eternal, it's like, holy crap, they've ramped this up to 11. And you're just bouncing around the arena, blasting through demons, and it's way more hectic. And it definitely matches the music a lot more, because you're way more active there, and having to constantly move like you're hyperactive. But it did annoy some people. People thought, it's a bit much, it's too hectic, too chaotic. It's not for everyone. But it were definitely harder and more fitting to the game, and it definitely fitted the music a lot more. But but a lot of people wouldn't have wanted to play that kind of game. And I get the kind of feeling here. It's like if you're a casual Elden Ring enjoyer, this is probably not a great DLC for you. But if you've beat the base game and you've done your new game plus, and you're coming into this at level 300 and you're looking for a proper challenge, maybe this will give you that. But yeah, it feels like the bosses, it's like they've gone, well, these new bosses have to be harder than the old ones, we've got to ramp things up, and they've overdone it, and it just ends up being, because I've seen the meta around a lot of the boss fights is use fingerprint shield and poke, or get some other weapon and stab them or whatever. But everyone seems to be now moving towards, like, for the first time in a From Software game, everyone's moved away from dodging, because the enemies do such massive long combos that you just can't keep dodging. So everyone's gone super tank with shield. So it's completely changed the meta up for the game, for the first time ever. But yeah, we're seeing we're definitely now seeing more of a focus on shields and defending and that. Luckily I was kind of doing that sort of play style anyway, so it's worked out well for me. But yeah, even still, I felt like when I was fighting a boss, I was kind of just holding aggro, hoping my summons would do a lot of the work for me. And then as soon as he loses aggro and starts going on them, I'd start just jabbing them in the back. But yeah, it's, I think in future they probably want to maybe tone it down a tad with the bosses. And of course, maybe be a bit clearer with, something like, if it's like you need to use this weapon for the Bale fight, because I as I've explained, I saw that sword and thought, oh, it's blood bleed up. Oh, it must be weak to bleed, and just went and tried another bleed weapon. It's like, no, specifically that sword. Easy mistake to make. And there's other things in this, again, they keep insisting on hiding things on the map. One of my big gripes with this has been the verticality of the map. Like, okay, I can go to the original map, and then I go, oh, look, I've got this map, but I know for a fact that there's more to it. It's got a bit of verticality, there's other areas below, and I can press show underground. And I can look at the deep root depths. I can look at the Siofra River. Right? I can go and actually look at these areas. And so if I need to kind of see, because this is the other thing as well, most of these areas are flat. And if there is some verticality, like I can tell here that this is raised up from this area, can't I? You can tell there's a cliff there, nice and easy. You can tell like the verticality of it, the height, not too bad, right? Nice and easy. Same with Caled. Caled is basically just flat, right? This bit up here is a bit raised, up there, but it's like, okay, so it's raised upon a hill. The lake, you can tell like the lake is set down into the middle of this. There's all these other places that are high up. You can see the roads that lead to them, the paths you need to take to get to them. But you can guess what I'm getting at. We go here and it's like, right, so how do I get to this dragon area place? It's like, oh, I must have to go through here? Or here? Maybe I walk down here and on to... No, there's like a secret cave that you have to go in here. You wouldn't be able to tell that from looking at the map. How do I get down to this place here? Or onto this red section? Or anything like that? Or the other areas down here? You couldn't tell from looking at the map. You would look at the map here and you would go, oh, I must have to walk down there and come down here, and nope. Not how you do it. If I remember correctly, you have to go down, I think, this river here, follow it all the way down, and you end up here. So to get to here, you have to go up there. And don't even get me started about how to get to the ruins. You know, it's like, oh, how do I get to the ruins? Oh, you see this little lake here. There's a secret cave that leads back here and under there. And the map has verticality to it and a lot of the areas. But because of the way the map is drawn, it's difficult to see how to get from one area to the next. Like, how do you get to this bottom area here? It's like, yep. You would think, oh, I must have to go down from this castle here, and it looks like there's some kind of slope or something that leads down, and then I must run along here and go down to this bit, because it looks like that goes down like steps maybe, you know, like you go down here, or so maybe I go from up here and come down and down to there, or nope. Nope, nope, all that's incorrect. You get to it by, if I remember correctly, you go through here. You go through this river, down here, right? Through a secret bloody mausoleum. Oh no, it's the catacombs here, yeah. You go through these secret catacombs that lead out into this area, and you end up, I think you even end up, yeah, I think you end up here. Or it might have been at the... No, I think it might be... Is it Abyssal Woods you come out on? It's either Abyssal Woods or it's the Forsaken Graveyard. But yeah, you end up down here or something. It's so hard to navigate, it really is. It really, really is. And don't even get me started on like this entire top area. Just being off limits. And you look at this bit here, the Erdtree base, and it's like, yeah, it's through the sunken chapel, and there's like a secret door over here that leads you through. What? How could you even tell that you have to do that from looking at the map? The map needs like different height layers that you can cycle between or something. Like with the base map, how you can kind of show underground and that. It needs a button to do that. But it might ruin the aesthetic of it a bit, but it needs a clearer map, I think. Because finding your way around here, I ended up having to use wikis. The fact that you keep having to use wikis on the game just shows that it's very bad at showing you where to go and how to find things out. Which, again, you can say that it's part of the charm, part of this air of mystery and mystique and so on and yada yada yada. You can say that, but I think in the end it just means that they need to really guide the player more. I think it suffers from the opposite problem that games like, well, that games like Horizon and basically every Ubisoft game ever and other open world games and things, it suffers from the opposite problem that they have, in that they offer too much information and practically overwhelm you with it. This offers you nowhere near enough to be able to even guide you through the basic like main story path. Like you'd struggle to even figure that out given the information that it just refuses to give you. Anyway, all said and done though, as I say, it's a very good game. There's no denying it. Absolutely fantastic. I have my gripes and problems and issues with it and that, but things to be addressed, in future titles, I suppose, at this point. It's been excellent playing through. I'll be sad to see it go. Because yeah, it's a treat going on it, I'll admit. It definitely is. We'll put these back. I might end up doing some more in my own time, going on with friends, maybe doing co-op or trying like some challenge runs with mods and things, but for the channel, at least, this is the end of Elden Ring, which again feels strange saying it when it's been on. I mean, this series, I bet by the end of it, I think it's somewhere in the 70s now or something at the time of recording. I think it's like late 60s, 70s, the number of episodes now. But yeah, it's been a blast. Like I say, when the fog's cleared up, you can see everything here. It's a brilliant view. Absolutely gorgeous. Like where the game shines, it shines, and it needs to stop trying to be something that it isn't. Like, Jesus Christ, just get rid of platforming sections. It would be like Doom adding in a stealth section. If Doom added a stealth section, like most first-person shooters do, people's jaws would drop and they'd be going, "What the hell?" and they'd just meme it into oblivion on the internet, and that they really would. That's kind of what I think of this when it does stealth, when it does platforming sections. When its platforming is abysmal. At least they have a jump button now, but anyway, that'll be it. More thoughts on Elden Ring if you want them on the original series that I did. I think like episode 110 or something when the original series ended. Weirdly enough, for some reason, on the last few episodes of it, it like took the thumbnails off the videos for some reason. I think it must not have uploaded properly or something. But whatever. They're all on the channel. It's in a playlist. This is part of that playlist, so you can just go backwards in the order and find them. But yeah, that has been, it's been Elden Ring. And again, it just still feels weird, you know, because it's been so long that I've been playing it now. You know, going into like nearly 200 hours on a single player game. It's absolutely ridiculous. Funnily enough, at the time of recording, I think it was Black Myth Wukong or something it's called, has just overtaken the all-time record for a single player game selling on Steam and the amount of concurrent players and stuff, which has just overtaken. Well, I don't think it was Elden Ring, I think it was Pal World, though mind you that does have co-op, but so does this. But yeah, this year Elden Ring has been dethroned twice by Pal World and now Black Myth. So end of an era. It's been nice. Like I say, I look forward to see what they can do next. I would hope that they look at things that don't work, redesign their philosophy on bosses and enemies. We don't need crazy difficult bosses that never give you a moment to breathe. It stops being fun at that point. It's just an arse to get through them. Maybe they'll be a bit clearer with what you have to do. Maybe give you more inkling as to what the story is. More cutscenes and dialogue to explain things to you, rather than just hoping you read every single item description and keep track of it all. And I think as well, like I said, I'd like to see new mechanics entering. There's been some, as I've said, just game modifiers, challenge runs, looking at how the death mechanics work, because other games in the genre have been making some moves, and I think they'd do well to look at what they're doing. Especially around how the multiplayer can work. I think seamless co-op is the way to go. Not do all this weird stuff with finger summons and stuff. But we'll see what they come up with next. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much for watching though. And more on the channel, but no more Elden Ring. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you in other series on the channel. I'll see you then.